As a lot of my lovely commenters pointed out, my last video looked like it was set on the surface of the sun. My bad. Let's fix that. Okay, maybe a little brighter. Much better. Alright, let's talk about why my channel is named what it is. Let's break it into parts. Basque, Icelandic, and Pidgin. Today, we're going to start with Basque. Basque is spoken in Euskal Herria, or the Basque Country, in northern Spain and southwestern France. The part in France is called Iparralde, or northern part, and consists of Lapurdi, or Labor, Nafarroa Beheria, or Lower Navarra, and Suberoa, or Sur. In Spain, we've got Egoalde, or southern part, which consists of Nafarroa, or Navarra, as well as Euskadi, or the Basque Autonomous Community, which itself consists of Vizcaya, Biscay, Araba, Alava, and Gipuzkoa. Nobody bothered to translate that one. The Basque language used to extend over a lot more of the Iberian Peninsula, which we can tell by just how many Basque place names are scattered about. But it shrank due to the Romans. Things haven't been much better with the Spanish, with Spanish dictator Francisco Franco, pictured here with his best buddy Hitler, making speaking Basque illegal. Luckily, Basque has been having a resurgence and is once again being taught in schools. The Basque spoken in schools is Euskara Batua, meaning unified Basque, and its goal is to try and bring all of the dialects of Basque together. Though to be honest, it's mostly just Gipuzkoan, since that's where most Basque speakers live anyway. So, where does Basque come from? If we look elsewhere on the Iberian Peninsula, we'll find a bunch of dialects of Spanish pretending to be their own languages, like Galician, Catalan, Portuguese. I'm just kidding, Catalan's actually a dialect of French. But unlike all of these, Basque isn't a Romance language. In fact, it's not even a member of the Indo-European language family that contains basically every language from Europe all the way to India, including English and Spanish. This means that English and Spanish are more closely related to Hindi than they are to Basque. In fact, Basque is an isolated language. It's not in any language family. This does make it pretty hard to figure out where Basque comes from. Different theories range from Georgian all the way to Mayan, because these languages do have one thing in common with Basque, the ergative case. Don't worry, we'll get into that later. But that's kind of all they have in common. Also, how the heck Mayan was supposed to get all the way from the Yucatan Peninsula to the Basque Country beats me. I think it's far more likely that aliens landed in Bilbao and brought their weird language with them. It does also explain the Guggenheim. No way anyone but aliens made that. The biggest roadblock to figuring out the origin of Basque is that for the longest time, they forgot to write it down. It was a purely spoken language. The oldest record we have of something resembling Basque being written down is this, the Hand of Irulegi. This bronze hand dates back to the late Iron Age and says something or other. To be honest, the only part I can read is this, Sorienaku, which resembles the modern Sorienako. As you can see, it is written in a rune-looking Iberian script. This is no longer used to write Basque, and hasn't been for more than 3 years. What about Basque's alphabet now? It actually uses the Latin alphabet, making it pretty similar to the alphabets we use for English and Spanish. It consists of the 26 letters for English, as well as the ñ, but doesn't have the digraphs of Spanish, like che, eye, and erre. Erre is actually used in Basque, but it's not its own letter. The names of the letters in Basque are almost all exactly identical to their counterparts in Spanish, since, well, they were borrowed from Spanish, with the exceptions of W and Y needing to be translated to V bikoitza and Y respectively. In general, I would recommend learning a little bit of Spanish first if you're interested in learning Basque, since a lot of the resources online are in Spanish, like this graphic for example. Plus, you can't just go learn it on Duolingo, since it doesn't have it. But I wouldn't really recommend learning a language on Duolingo anyway. The only adult I know of that's tried to learn Basque while not knowing Spanish or French first is that Xiaoma NYC guy. But anyway, for those of you who can't read Spanish, the bottom of this graphic tells us that while C, Q, V, W, and Y are all technically letters in Basque, they're only really used in foreign words, much like the ñ in English. While Basque has basically the same alphabet as Spanish, not all of the letters are pronounced the same. For example, in Spanish, the Z can be pronounced S, Z, or even Th. In Basque, this is not the case. It is always pronounced S. In addition, we've got the X, which is pronounced sh, like the SH in English. Put a T in front of that, and you get ch, like the CH in English. In addition, we've got TS and TZ, which make the ts and ts sounds respectively, I think. It can be really hard to hear the difference. Basque as a language really loves compound words. Take the word eguzkilori, for example, a flower very important to Basque mythology that looks like a sunflower but isn't. Similarly to the English word sunflower, it is a compound word of the words eguzkia, meaning sun, and lori, meaning flower. For another example, take the word euskaldun. This means a speaker of Basque, or a Basque person in general, since the language is very tightly connected with their identity. It is a compound of euskara, the Basque language, and dun, one who has. Probably the weirdest feature of Basque is the ergative case I mentioned before. This is a relatively rare language feature, showing up in languages like Greenlandic, Georgian, Mayan, and Tibetan. It even shows up in some made-up languages, like Na'vi from Avatar, Black Speech from Lord of the Rings, and Ithquil from real life. These types of languages are mad interesting to me, especially all the ones Tolkien came up with, so let me know if y'all be interested in some videos on conlinks in the future. But what is the ergative case, you ask? Well, it distinguishes between the subject and object of a transitive verb. But we don't need this in English or Spanish because it's already done by the order. For example, if I say, Ane saw the house, that would make perfect sense. But if I say, the house saw Ane, you would think I was making a pitch for Monster House 2 Electric Boogaloo. In Basque, the order is a lot more flexible. For example, anek etxea akustendu and etxea anek akustendu mean the exact same thing. The K that we put on the end of ane shows us that they are the subject. They are the ones doing the seeing, not etxea, the house. So, while the ergative case may be a bit unfamiliar for you English speakers out there, I say as if I don't speak English too, its structure is fundamentally pretty simple. The same cannot be said for the rest of Basque grammar. It's complicated. Too complicated for me to go over in this video. So instead, let's take a look at grammar's much more fun cousin, vocabulary. For some basic vocabulary in Basque, we've got kaixo and aupa, which both mean hi, agur, which means bye, mesedes, which means please, eskerrik asko means thank you, eta means and, not to be confused with the other Basque eta, egonon means good morning, ongi etorri means welcome, bye means yes, S means no, and yes, the word for no is S. Yes, it does get very confusing. Bat is 1, B is 2, Iru is 3. As for the two most important words in Basque, the words you have to know if you go to the Basque country, number 1 is pincho, which is basically a Basque version of a tapa, but like way cooler. My personal favorite is the hilda, which is an anchovy, olive, and pepper together on a skewer. Trust me, it tastes way better than it sounds. Go to the Nosti and get yourself a hilda and you will see that I'm right. The other is calimocho. This is a mixed drink made with wine and Coca-Cola, and it's way better than those pesky sangrias and tintos de veranos. All you need to know to get around in the Basque country is pincho eta calimocho mesedes. Trust me. To show you guys an example of a basic conversation in Basque, I'm going to call it my good friend, Uso but then I checked my apartment and I don't actually have any bananas, so y'all are gonna have to work with me here. Ring, 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 ring. Kaisho, sermolus? Oso ondo, etasu, kilikolo. Non goa sara, donius to koa sara? Es, nilbivo tara nice, ondo. Sanda suri esena. Nire esena nyugoda. Agur, agur. For those of you wondering, yes, the name Inigo does come from Basque. And yes, the character Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride is canonically Basque. A lot of the words in Spanish that come from Basque are names. Like, did you know that the name Javier originally comes from the Basque Echeverri, meaning new house? Probably the most commonly used Spanish word that comes from Basque is izquierda, meaning left, which comes from the Basque esquer, meaning left. Some other common influences from Basque on Spanish are the betacism, where B's and V's are pronounced the same, and the loss of the F from words that come from Latin. For example, the Latin word fumo, meaning smoke, becomes humo in Spanish, potentially because of Basque. In English, we actually did keep the F, which gave us fumes. It's a shame Basque doesn't get more credit for the influence it's had on languages like Spanish. In fact, most people don't even know Basque exists. It's a really cool language spoken by a really cool group of people. Often when people do talk about Basque, it's to discuss the mystery of where it comes from. But far more interesting than that is how Basque managed to survive. Basically every language in Europe that wasn't Indo-European got erased or assimilated, but not Basque. Despite all that the language has had to deal with, it's still going and people are still speaking it. And for that, I'm very glad. This video is part of a 3-part series explaining the name of this channel. Stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 explaining Icelandic and Pidgin. Have a nice day! Athletic!